Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome. The parent will be recorded. So if there's anything you missed or you'd like to catch on at a later date, you can do so through this platform. First off, I'd like to pass you over to my colleague Maria Ryan, who will take you through the various aspects of the University of Galway and introduce the academic colleague. Thank you, Maria.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. I am Maria and I look after the marketing and student recruitment at the School of Law. We will be discussing two LLM programs today hosted by the Irish Centre for Human Rights. So we will be taking through the course outline, some of the unique features, and I will hand you over to the program directors to talk through a little bit of those. But before we get into the details of that, I just want to talk through a little bit about the School of Law. So at University of Galway School of Law, we have been teaching law since 1849. So there is a lot of history esteemed in our teaching, and yet we aim to deliver that innovative legal education that is dedicated to impactful and high quality legal research. Looking at the university and the School of Law at a glance, we were the winner of Law School of the Year in 2024, and we also have some esteemed ranking from the QS World University rankings, as you will see on screen. As both of these programs are led by the Irish Centre for Human Rights, this is a unique feature of both University of Galway and the School of Law. The Irish Centre for Human Rights is one of the world's premier academic human rights institution, and it is dedicated to the study of human rights, peace and conflict, international criminal law, humanitarian law, international refugee and migration law, gender and human rights, and climate justice. And with the Irish Centre for Human Rights being on campus, it really offers our students an immersive experience. This is an experience like no other, as it is obviously the only Irish Centre for Human Rights that exists within Ireland, and our students have the opportunity to meet with professors and lecturers who are completing esteemed work within these fields. There's also lunchtime seminars that take place where they are encouraged to get involved in discussions about prevalent research and topics that are going on in the world. So there's always so much going on in the Irish Centre for Human Rights, which you will hear more about from both of the program directors. But it's really an immersive experience, and if this is the field in which you want to continue your studies, it's definitely one of the reasons why a lot of students choose to come to University of Galway. We also have on campus a moot courtroom, which is a simulated courtroom experience. So students on our LLM programs have the opportunity to complete a VIS moot module. And what this means is you work with other students to research cases and present. And what this does is it really improves and enhances your legal drafting skills, your presentation skills, and your practical advocacy skills. So what we're really building into each of these modules and having the moot courtroom on campus is building that real world experience and putting what you learn in the classroom into practice. So I will hand you over to Anita Ferrara, who is the Program Director for the LLM Transitional Justice, Human Rights and Conflict, and she will take you through some of the course outlines, some of the unique features, and what this year has looked like so far for the program.
Hi, thanks Maria, and hi everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. I'm Dr. Anita Ferrara, Program Director of the LLM in Transitional Justice, Human Rights and Conflict. This is a new LLM which has been set up last year, so it's quite recent, but it actually equips students with knowledge and skills to address the complex legal, political, moral issues and challenges that states and societies have to face when addressing large-scale human rights violations. And we're talking mainly of contexts transitioning from dictatorships or civil wars, or contexts of mass atrocities such as after a genocide. So as you can see, this is a very timely and critical time to be talking about all of these issues. And these masters, these LLMs, help students, equip students with the tools to understand some of these most challenging issues, which are cross-cutting themes, but at the same time, we also focus a lot on country case studies, which is one of the unique features of this LLM. So combining a broader approach to the law and justice, so going just beyond the legal approach. It's not just about domestic and international trials, but this LLM looks at restorative justice, truth and reconciliation commissions, reparations, institutional reforms, memory and collective memory, and more, which is part of the approaches and the mechanisms that states and societies have available when transitioning, because it's a very particular time when states are very fragile, and therefore multiple choices are requested to face this context. So this is a very innovative and at the same time critical time to talk about these issues. Students will have core module, which is the transitional justice one, but highly recommended modules such as international human rights law and peace operations, which Professor Ray Murphy is going to talk in a minute about, which is one of the reasons also why we're having these combined webinars, because our LLMs at the center are very interoperable. And although we have core subjects for each LLM, we can actually you can actually have access to a broad range of subjects to choose from, so that you can have a broader understanding of all of these topics and issues. There is a website which is very detailed about all the details of the LLM, and there is a promotional video on the website. And I widely suggest you also to go on our events page of the Irish Centre for Human Rights, where there is actually the video of last year's launch event, where we had as a guest speaker one of the judge of the Special Jurisdiction for Peace in Colombia, Judge Oscar Parra, and one of the most prominent professors of transitional justice, Professor Stefan Parmentier. They contributed to the launch of this program last year, and they also give an explanation of exactly what the master is about, what are the subjects covered, why they're so relevant and important today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them at the end of this webinar. Thank you.
Perfect. And would you like me to move on to the next slide, Anita?
I think I have addressed, you can move forward, because I think I have addressed this slide as well in what I was saying. Yeah, so this is one of the unique features of the LLM, is also the socio-legal approach that I was mentioning before, and a comparative research, which means that there's a combination of in-depth analysis of country case studies such as Chile, Colombia, South Africa, Liberia, and Rwanda, and at the same time, while at the same time also addressing cross-cutting issues such as memory, collective memory, restorative justice, reconciliation, and so on and so forth. There is another specific characteristics of this LLM. Maria, if you can move to the next slide, thank you. Yes, we have expert speakers throughout the year, because we host seminars, lunchtime seminars, which sometimes are specifically dedicated to transitional justice, and including either international renowned personalities as well as local activists or academics that work on a local level on these issues and topics. We have a research cluster on transitional justice and peacebuilding, and students of the LLMs generally can engage either with the debates or with the activities and events that we organize at the research cluster, or contributing to writing blogs and other type of research output for the blog itself. The blog is becoming quite well known and has attracted lots of attention internationally. So it's becoming a nice space for both to address this type of critical legal issues.
That's great. Thank you so much, Anita, for all of the detail. There will also be an opportunity for a Q&A at the end. So if you have any specific course-related questions, you can pop them into the chat and Anita will be happy to answer them. So we will move on to the second LLM program of this webinar, which is the LLM Peace Operations, Humanitarian Law and Conflict. So I will hand over to Ray Murphy for an introduction. He is the program director. So I'll pass it over to you, Ray. So Ray may not have been able to join the call today, so I will hand over to you, Anita, to provide a little bit more insight into the program.
We can't hear you, Ray. Are you sure you have the mic on, off? No.
Yes. So
yeah. Okay.
Apologies, I might just interject. So if you were to go into mic, and there might be a different setting. So if you go down to mic and then microphone array, so maybe you have it set up slightly differently depending on type of computer.
You might have to log off and log in again, maybe, Ray. Are you happy for me to go on? Sorry, it's a bit weird because you're there. So, okay, so I'm taking over from, I'm trying to do my best. So the LLM in peace operations, humanitarian law and conflict is quite also very relevant to the transitional justice, human rights and conflict. In fact, it has the component of the conflict that it actually concerns the two LLM. So prepare students to engage with the legal and policy challenges of armed conflict, peacebuilding and humanitarian response. Our students taking this LLM usually gain expertise to work in international peace operations, in conflict zones or global institutions advancing conflict resolution and protection. The LLM focuses on peace operations, humanitarian law and conflict resolution in global contexts and prepares you for careers with the UN, NATO, OSHE, EU, NGOs, and international peace-building bodies. It's strongly focused, again, on international peace operations, but again, it has a broader understanding from a law, political science, and socio-legal approach. Although it looks at the legal issues concerning peace operations, it also has a broader approach in general terms of where we are at with peace operations, and especially with international humanitarian law, which are the two core subjects, the two core modules. It's international peace operations. Maria, sorry if you can move on the slide. No, actually the next one. The two core modules are international peace operations, which examines peacekeeping operations from a political, legally, and military perspective. Although the focus is mainly on the UN activities, obviously the module also looks at the regional actors and players, which are like the African Union or the European Union, currently playing an important role in the world of peacekeeping and peace operations. And the other core module for this LLM is international humanitarian law. You're hearing a lot these days about the critical challenges and also failures, and also lots of the criticism about international humanitarian law undergoing these days, but it's actually an important branch of law that needs to be respected and protected to protect civilians in armed conflicts, whether in civil conflicts or in international conflicts. And this deals international humanitarian law with the legal framework governing situations of armed conflict. And it examines, goes from the Geneva Conventions, related treaties and war crimes, and so on and so forth. Professor Ray Murphy is a world expert in this topic, and so you're going to be trained by experts in the area and leaders in the areas, together with the fact that, as for the other masters, there will be during the year guest speakers coming to talk to the LLM students, particularly to the peace operations, humanitarian law and conflict. And for this particular master as well, there is a field trip organized during the first semester. I hope I'm right, which is a visit to the Irish Defence Forces in Galway. There are also seminars and based on practical experiences on UN operations and challenges on the implementation of international humanitarian law, as well as practical demonstrations of weapons typically used during the current peace operations. I think I have covered most of it. Ray, you send me a text if I need to say something else. No? Okay. Okay. Happy to take the questions after as well.
That's great. Thanks so much for providing the information on the second LLM program. As mentioned, any questions can be asked into the chat if you have them on either LLM program. With regards to admissions and entry requirements, Niall will be dropping in the links to all of our admissions and entry requirements so that you have all of the information for that. And if there are any specific questions that aren't covered via those links, you can always contact the school office at lawpostgrad@universityofgalway.ie, which will be shared in a couple of slides with you. And then just looking at, I suppose, the Galway as a university destination. So it is always really important when you are choosing where to study in university that you also look at the location. And we may be biased because we are in Galway. However, the awards would also speak for themselves. So in 2024, Galway was ranked first in Europe for student friendliness. It's a very warm, welcoming, charming, student-friendly city. There's always lots going on between international arts festivals, film festivals. It's a warm, welcoming culture, and a lot of the students also who are international want to explore Ireland at the weekend, and there is beautiful landscapes, scenery, as you will see from the images on the screen. And looking at the location of the university, so we really are based in the heart of Galway city centre. We would approximately be a 10-minute walk from the city centre, which a lot of our international students do favour, as it's such a walkable city and a walkable campus, and it just means that you really are in the heart of the city centre for your experience. We have over 27 nationalities currently represented in our student body, which really does make for a diverse learning experience. And there are also activities set up at the beginning of the semester for orientation for you to meet with other international students and other students within your programs. So looking at some of the postgraduate awards that can be taken. So once you have your offer accepted, then you can be considered for one position of up to 50% off tuition fee scholarship within the School of Law. There is also a Government of Ireland International Education Scholarship. So this is a scholarship for non-EU and non-EEA students in Ireland, and there are 60 places awarded across Ireland, and all of the LLM programs at University of Galway are eligible for this. And why we say to get your application form and offer accepted as soon as possible is because the closing date for this is March 2026. So this is the email address if you do have any particular queries. It's lawpostgrad@universityofgalway.ie. Also on the university website, we have recently updated all of our course pages, so you will get the most up-to-date information about each of the LLM programs. You will get a view of the modules that will be covered in the programs. So if there are any, I suppose, queries, or you want a more in-depth look at each of the modules and the course offering, please do visit the website. And I will now open the floor to any questions.
Maria, I might just jump in there just while we wait for questions. So questions we often get asked in Global Galway as our representatives all around the world. How do, to Anita and Ray as well, if we can, how do the students internationally find what they're studying in Ireland to be taken back to their own country? Do they find it difficult to kind of transform from what they study in Ireland, or is it very international?
I don't know if I can be heard yet.
Yeah, excellent. Ray, we can.
Really? Okay, wow. So let me speak, so please. Well, the great majority of our students are international, and the actual staff of the centre are very international. And a lot of our PhD students, actually, most of them are from abroad. And all of the staff have extensive experience working in international environments and with different nationalities. So it's actually a very international hub within the University of Galway in general. And you can't teach transitional justice or peace operations or humanitarian law without actually looking at the international scene, international relations, international politics, and what's happening in the contemporary political landscape. And one question that I often get asked is, do I need a law background to study either of these LLMs? And the answer is emphatically no. Of course, we have to deal with the UN Charter, we have to deal with international law, but we do so in a way which is very user-friendly to those that don't have a background in international law. And a lot of my course would focus on Africa and the Middle East. A lot of Anita's work would focus on the Americas, Southern America, Central America. So I would really emphasize the international dimension of all of the subjects that we teach.
It's wonderful to hear, yeah, because I know that it is a common question. It's great to hear from both of you, just that it is actually quite international. And just another question that often gets asked, where have some of the alumni from these courses, where have they gone on to work? And you know, I know, and I saw some of the photos, some of our previous students doing quite well, but Anita, do you have any examples of where your students have gone on to work?
Well, yeah, of course, traditionally, it's a very diverse job market out there. Traditionally, they go to the United Nations organizations or specialized agencies, but also to international non-governmental organizations, as well as domestic national human rights organizations as well. Let's not forget that many of our students, as Ray was saying, they come from all over the world, but they also go back to their countries where they actually start contributing in the subjects that they have studied in their countries as well. So there's quite a lot of options domestically and internationally. I would say our students traditionally have covered all of the subjects. Some very minority go to the academia as well, but mostly work for national or international non-governmental and governmental organizations.
Ray, is it similar for your alumni, for your students?
Yes, it is. Mostly they've gone to work for UN or indeed the African Union, some of the EU bodies that have been established. And again, I was giving a talk in Dublin last night, and I met a student from another country, from Italy actually, who's working with the Irish Department of Foreign Affairs. So a number of our students work for our own public service, but also work in the non-governmental and international organisation, broader community, both within Ireland and outside Ireland. Some go back to, some that join us have extensive experience already and are using this to give themselves a broader education and background to advance themselves within their own countries and organisations. And they bring a wealth of experience and background and perspectives on the subjects that we teach, which is great.
Wonderful to hear, yeah. So it's very prestigious. And just for myself, again, if you have any questions, do post them on the right. In terms of the class sizes and how it's taught, so that's a big question that we get asked internationally. Are the students in one very large group? Is there smaller tutorials? Is there anything specific to your programs? Maybe Anita?
Usually we try to keep our classes quite small. Depending on the year, last year it was a bit more, the classes are a bit more crowded because we had a higher number of students from last year, which is good. But it can, we try to keep the students between 20 and 30 students maximum each module, but obviously some modules are more either because are core or because are recommended modules or because are foundational modules, like, for example, international human rights law or international humanitarian law. So they're busier. But for example, international humanitarian law for this reason is run twice in the first and in the second semester, so that it's not going to get too big. But usually we try to keep a low number in the classes when is possible to do so.
Excellent. And Ray, would it be similar for you?
Yes, it is exactly. And as Anita said, international humanitarian law is taught. It's a semester. It's taught in semester 1, and the same course is taught in semester 2 to allow the course to be divided so that the class is not too big. And the classes are seminar based, so there's a lot of discussion. There's significant readings beforehand, and of course we present and we talk, but we always ask our students to read the topics beforehand so that there can be engagement and constructive dialogue between everybody. And it's a very respectful but also very diverse conversation that follows in the classes. So I think they're not traditional classes in the sense that some people may be familiar with. It's the discursive seminar-based interactions that are a real strength of these programs.
It's great to hear. And just one final remark for myself. So I do see that we have some of our alumni in the photos there. They're actually on our ambassador platform. So it is possible for any viewers, if you want to go and talk to these the students who've done these courses, it is possible to do that through this platform. So it is a useful tool, and you can find out things about the program specifically or about life in Galway. So do keep in touch with that. So I don't believe we have any questions. So Maria, I might pass back to you.
Yep, that's perfect. Well, I would just like to say thank you all so much for joining today. If you do have any questions specifically about your application form, or you just want more detail, do reach out to Law Postgrad at University of Galway. And thank you so much again for your time today.